Hi, this is Diana Hendrix, and this is how I create.
Welcome to This Is How We Create, a show that digs deeper into the creative life of contemporary artists of color. Discover what feeds their creativity and how they found or are finding their artistic voice. Through these intimate and candid conversations, you'll gain insights into the lives of creative professionals of color that are hard to find anywhere else. Welcome back to This Is How We Create. My name is Martine Severin, your host. Today, we're bringing you a powerful story of resilience, creativity, and transformation through art. Artist Diana Hendrix, known in the art world as Jayug, turned her experience in Chicago's foster care system into a vibrant artistic journey. As a child, she saw art as more than just a hobby. It was her first language, a lens through which she could reimagine her challenging world into something beautiful and attainable. Inspired by childhood cartoons and supported by influential figures like her art teacher, Miss Fry, Diana discovered that she herself, not her tools, was the source of magic in her creations. Despite taking a detour into law, life had other plans when an autoimmune condition, including lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, forced her to reinvent herself. Diana turned to her artistic roots. Today, drawing from her diverse artistic training and life experiences, she creates under the name Jayug, producing work that celebrates Black excellence and demonstrates the transformative power of art. Diana, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you are here as well. So, Diana, I would love to start our conversation with something that you mentioned when you sent over your bio. So, you mentioned that art was your first language. Can you take us back to your earliest memory of creating art and what it meant to you as a child in the foster care system?
Yeah, I didn't really talk much when I was like really, really little because of the experiences that I was experiencing as a child. I saw art in everything. Like it didn't have to be crayons and color pencils and paint for me. I didn't have dolls really growing up in the system. So I would make a doll. So what I would do is I will gather paper together and fold it in a way to where the body would come together. And then I'll draw out like the clothes for the doll. And then that's how I would be able to like play. Or another one is when I didn't have paint, I learned that you can draw paint. Well, you can draw colors from things that had it. So we always had magazines. So if you add water to the pictures of the magazine, the color would bleed off. And then I could use that color to do what I was trying to do to create any type of drawing or painting that I was doing. And it wasn't until my mom adopted me until I didn't feel like I was doing something wrong. Like any other time I would try to like paint or draw or do anything, I got scolded for it. They would say I wasn't paying attention enough or stop doodling and you need to make yourself look good so people could adopt you. And my mom, she just happened to see me drawing. She was like, "Oh, that's pretty good." And I was like, "Thank you." And she was like, "You like to draw?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know."
What were some of the things you were drawing during that time, Diana?
So once I got older, I found out what I was doing. But when I was young, I used to fold papers like an instrument. It used to be bendy. And I would draw different placations of the same item, but different mediums. And I liked that because when you stretch it out, it kind of played together and you got to see the different mediums of that same item going throughout it. And I used to draw that like a lot. So I would do like vases and trees, food. I did one where it was a table with grapes and cups and they were like rolling. That's what I drew. I drew what was around me.
Mm. So you talk about your mother, Helen, and she seems to have been transformative in your life. How did her encouragement and the stability she provided shape or continue to shape your relationship with art?
My mom is a very animated individual. She didn't just say things, she said it in her own little way. So it was amazing to see someone that had the same imagination as me. Because even with my sisters, I'll try to like tell them, like, oh, guess what? Or I tell them, like, oh, I dreamed of this. And my mom, she always indulged it. She never said, okay, no, quiet now. No, that's not real. No, she indulged it. She wanted to hear every part of my story. She wanted to see every picture that I drew out. And then if it was just a plain picture, she'll go, well, what happened here? And how did you get to that? She, for me, helped me understand how to fully explain what my art was because it wasn't the typical child drawing. It was different. When I was younger, a lot of teachers would call her and they'd be like, Diana drew something very weird or very vulgar or very, they seen it as violent or antagonizing. Well, my mom was like, no, did you ask her what it was? And then when I got home, I'm thinking I'm in trouble. But no, she wanted to know, how did I come up with this character? What is this character's name? What was the whole point of it? And she really was. She helped me understand that my creativity wasn't something to have to be changed or I had to make it more tasteful. No, she was just like, that's a weird, funky character. How did we get here? Why is his like she'd be like, why does he have one eye? Or why is his nose where his mouth is? And she didn't say, no, that's not where it's supposed to go. She would want to know those things.
So I think through Miss Fry and her influence and your mother's influence, you went on to study artists like Basquiat, Alma Thomas, Faith Ringgold, and in college. How do you see their influence reflected in your work today? And what about their stories really speak to you as an artist?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that. So Miss Fry introduced me to two artists that she felt like my art was like, and Basquiat was one, and then the other one was a Russian artist. I cannot remember his name, but I do know that he was famous for drawing upside down and then flipping the canvas over. When she first showed me Basquiat, I loved it. I really did. I fell in love with his work. I wanted to know everything about him because his work really spoke to me. He wasn't the conventional artist. He wasn't drawing landscapes and beautiful portrait paintings, and he wasn't doing like the Renaissance or no, he was drawing what he saw and how he saw it. So when I first saw him, I was like, oh, so my work doesn't have to be this, to me, typical art. For me, art, especially at that age when I was in high school and I met Miss Fry, I really wasn't into other people's art because to me, it was like everybody's art was kind of the same during that time. They'd draw a nice landscape or they'll draw like a portrait and it's like, no, I like to draw weird things. I like to draw things how I see them. And then once she saw that I was gravitating toward Basquiat, she showed me Alma. And I was like, the way she plays with colors, it just opened my eyes. Like the way that she took abstract paintings and drawing and the way that she could come up with these color skills that normally a normal artist would not have you follow, because when you first starting out with art, they give you a color wheel and you're supposed to follow that, because she did not follow that color wheel. And I loved it. Everything about it just spoke to me. And then I was just like, okay. And I was spending all my time trying to create this beautiful masterpiece between a Basquiat and an Alma. And she was like, well, you get, I was like, no, I got it. And so she never got mad at me because I wasn't doing the on-task curriculum for her class. Like while everybody else is trying to learn how to draw apples in a bowl, I'm over here trying to make this masterpiece, which was a cheetah laying in lion's mane, which is a type of high grass. And I wanted the colors to fade in a way to where once you relax your eyes, you can see the cheetah. So once it came together, she was so stunned That was the first time I ever seen someone stunned by my work, but in a good way. I thought she was going to say, I can't see it. I don't understand. It looks like, but no, she saw it right away. She saw it right away. And then she entered it into our high school's art gallery. And I won.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah, I
amazing.
came home and I was so elated. My mom was like, "What's going on? What's going on?" I was like, "Miss Fry entered me into the art gallery, and you're not gonna believe it." Well, it's like, "Oh, they did it on my cheetah picture, and I won." And I was just jumping up. I've never won anything in my life at that point.
What I want to chat with you about is there's quite a bit of pressure for artists to course correct towards more traditional careers, as you did with studying law and soon will become a lawyer. Can you tell us, as you're looking back, what would you tell other young artists who are facing similar pressures of not knowing whether or not to pursue their art fully or um, temper that need to pursue it fully by having one foot in both places, one foot in getting traditional work and one foot in pursuing their dreams of becoming an artist?
Yes, honestly, that's kind of one of my things that I do now. I teach a lot of young kids at high school that are part of the art program. Miss Fry, she calls me sometimes like, "Hey, can you come speak to the class?" And it's pretty cool. I tell them something that my grandma told me. Um, no one can see the scenic of your path because you're the only one on that path. So when you are trying to become an artist, like I was at NIU, I started out at NIU the first time I went to college. I took fine arts as a minor and I fell in love with everything in that world. And especially for our young Black artists, I would tell them, if you love art, do it. You will find a way to make your money with art. I was constantly being told that the art world was very unforgiving. It's so many artists. You know what you got to go through to make it and be famous and get your artwork in galleries. It was very like depressing. It was like they were trying to actively get you to quit art so you didn't pursue the art. I wish I can go back and tell my younger self, don't course correct. Don't change. Stay in the art world, because once I did course correct, I wasn't happy. I didn't find it fun. It was very boring. I would find myself doodling instead of studying. Everything kept coming back to art for me. So I would tell other kids, if that really is how you feel, if art really is your life, you will find a way to make money for it. You very much will. And I did. Like, once I course corrected, I wasn't very happy. And then once I got my diagnosis of lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, I really couldn't work like I needed to. The doctor wouldn't give me the consent that was needed to allow me to work. So I would draw, I would paint. And then next minute I know, my niece is like, "Can I put some of your paint up? Can I put some of your stuff up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you can post it. You can do what you want." And then next one I know, she's like, "Oh, well, there's this pop up." I'm like, "What's a pop up?" And she explained to me what a pop-up shop was. And then I was like, "Oh, okay." And I tried it out and people loved it. They loved that urban art that they grew up seeing like I did, like on the Jeffersons and on, what is it called? Good Times. In the beginning, when they show that painting where it is just authentic Black people dancing and you can hear the music, even though it's a painting. You know what they're dancing to. You know how they're feeling. I really wish that instead of crashing or taking that control from a fellow young artist, why don't you see what they do with it? Because you never know what that art might take them to. So I try to tell anybody, don't ever course correct, because course correction is taking you off what was meant for you. And that, honestly, that's how it was for me.
One of the things I'd like to talk about is your designs for Bumblebee Designs, and in particular, the bear. Is that what you call it? What do you call that figure?
So those are my don't care bears.
Adult Care
Yes.
Bears? Is that what you call
No,
them?
don't.
Don't care.
Don't.
Oh, that's even better.
Yes, those
They
are my
don't
don't
care.
care bears.
Tell me about your Don't Care Bears. How did you come up with that?
So my first Care Bear was a green Care Bear. I love green. Green is my favorite color. And I actually came up with her because it was 420 and everybody was coming up with all these crazy, funky designs for 420 and da 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 da. And my husband, he was like, I would love to see you come up with something. And I said, okay, I can come up with something. And then I was like, I want to make a bear, but I want to make her feminine, but I want to make it to where you can see all the attitudes that we embody. And when I first did it, everybody was like, that's a very shapely bear. And she ain't got no clothes on. They was like, hold on. And I was just like, okay, well, she's a bear. Do the real Care Bears have clothes on? No, they do not. So why does she need clothes on? Because she has a shape. And I loved it. And then from that, I was like, okay, next one I know, Juneteenth came up. And I was like, I want to make a Juneteenth bear. And I made a Juneteenth Don't Care Bear. And it had everything that embodies Juneteenth. And it started from that. And then I made the Do Not Touch My Hair bear. And you see her playing with her hair. And I was like, I'm going to keep going with this. Let's with Flair Bear. And that's your girly girl bear. And she's full figure. Like, it's a whole line of them. And I loved it. I loved every part of it. That's when I was like, you know what? I don't care if it's vulgar. I don't care if people say that it's a little too adult. Guess what? Most little girls is going to see these bears and be like, why ain't this a real? Why is this not real? Why can't I have this bear? She is shaped like me. She has my attitude like me. And I just fell in love with it. And then you know what? Unapologetically, so did everyone else.
As we close out, Diana, one of the questions that I have for you is obviously there's a lot of things that are changing in your life right now. You have a law degree, you have your boys, you have a full life. Through all of that, as you're doing your art practice, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about what sets your heart ablaze, what makes you so excited and makes you feel like you are in your element.
Honestly, I love when I meet a fellow little kid that loves art just as much as me. The next thing that I am on right now, I make kids their favorite. Well, I make them into superheroes, or if they're in an anime. Like one kid, he's into Dragon Ball Z, and he loved it. So what I did was I made him in his own likeness, in his own figure, a Dragon Ball Z character. I made him a comic book from scratch as his Dragon Ball Z character. Gave him a storyline. Also did it for a little girl. She was into all of the Marvel MCU. I made her into her own superhero. I made her locks her weapon, her power, and gave her name, Onyx Whip. And once again, I made her own likeness, and I gave her a poster of herself with a hoodie, and it has her likeness on it. And that's what's fueling me right now. I love talking and being around the younger artists that are coming up because I want to feed them like I was fed into my art. I want them to fully embrace it. And that's what makes me happy. Seeing them being able to say, you know what? This is my art. And yeah, it may not be formal and uniformed and neat, but it's my art and it says something. And that's what gets me going.
Oh, that was really wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Diana. It's been great talking with you.
Thank you for inviting me. I love this. I think it is wonderful. I think you're wonderful. And I love what you're doing because it helps people understand that art really can be anything. It really can. And whatever we create is just that.
Hi there. I have a quick favor to ask you before you go. If you're loving the show, would you mind taking a quick second to leave us a 5-star review on your favorite go-to podcast app? Here's the thing. Those reviews are like magic fairy dust. They help other creatives of color discover our show and tap into their own artistic superpowers. While you're at it, why not subscribe to our Substack newsletter, Creative Matters? Creative Matters is like a weekly dose of inspiration delivered straight to your inbox. You can find the link to subscribe in the show notes. All right, that's all that I have for you today. I can't wait to see you on the next episode. Bye.